All right, we should be recording and officially live. So, good morning, greetings from California. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are right now. Thank you so much to those of you who are here tuning in live. And for those of you who might be watching the recording later, welcome to you as well. Thanks so much for joining us for this somewhat impromptu, although it's been coming for quite a while, but information session on what we're calling the Yogic Studies Advanced Certificate Program, which some of you already know about. Many of you here who I can see are actually already enrolled in, but we have some new updates, new information about this program, its curriculum. And for those of you who are learning about this for the first time, I'm excited to have you here to welcome you in and to share with you about what I think is a pretty cutting edge online program and curriculum in yoga studies. So I know we're in sort of crazy and unusual times and circumstances right now. So I really value this opportunity to get to connect with you all in this limited way, but to have so many people here from around the world all sharing this digital virtual space. Many of you, I know we've been doing these courses and Zoom sessions for a long time. This is nothing new for us. But for the rest of the world, everybody is now on Zoom. Well, don't forget, Yogic Studies was here first. We were ahead of the curve, my friends. So for those of you who don't know me already, my name is Seth Powell, and I'm the founder and director of Yogic Studies, an online educational platform, which I launched at the beginning of 2018. I really launched Yogic Studies as an experiment, as a way for me as a PhD and graduate student at Harvard to continue to earn a livelihood. When I left Cambridge and Harvard and my family and I moved back to California, all of a sudden as a teacher, I needed to generate an income. And I had already been teaching yoga workshops, lectures on the history and philosophy of yoga at yoga studios and teacher trainings for quite some time. And people had been saying to me, why don't you put a course online? I think that would be great. This was sort of at the end of 2017. And I thought, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to go online. I don't want to engage in social media. I don't want to be a public figure. I don't want to put myself out there like that. But the reality was when I left Harvard and moved my family back, I needed an income. I left my teaching stipend at Harvard on the table. And so I thought, okay, well, let me just give this a shot. I put together this 6-week course, which is now our 101 course, an intro to the history and philosophy of yoga. I know many of you have done that course. Some of you I recognize here were even in that initial sort of beta version, if you will, first ever yogic studies course. And, I thought, all right, if I can get 10 people interested in this subject, 10 people sign up, that will be worth my while. And can get some income here, get some revenue, just to be honest. And I put it out. I put a lot of work into creating that first course. And I was so blown away. I had many more than 10 people join. We had over 100 people from over 30 countries around the world join me for that first intro course. And it really blew me away. And I learned so much through teaching that course about what's possible in terms of online pedagogy and how to create a virtual classroom and how to take this really fascinating and rich material on yoga philosophy and history and how to create that into an integrative and accessible online course. Because really at the core of what yogic studies is all about is trying to bridge this gap between the yoga practitioner world and yoga studio culture, if you will, although now all of the studios have moved online, are on Zoom with us. But trying to bridge the gap between the yoga practice world and the academic world of yoga research and yoga studies. Because as many of you know, the last decade especially has seen a huge renaissance and growth in the quality and depth of critical yoga research. And based on the work of many fantastic scholars from around the world, our understanding of the development, the origins of yoga, yoga's texts and philosophical traditions, the genealogy and history of physical practices and yoga postures, our understanding of all of these subjects has radically changed in the last decade. But a lot of that information is sort of been secluded in the ivory towers of the academy or behind paywalls of academic publishing. Fortunately, this has been changing over the years as more and more of this is becoming accessible and being put up online on websites like academia.edu. But still, there's a gap in terms of students being able to access these scholars, access these teachers. And unless somebody enrolls in a university program in yoga studies or religious studies at one of these universities, not only is it incredibly expensive, but it's not very practical for everybody to simply pause your life and go back to school full time. But yet many people still want to have access to this knowledge, to these resources. So as I started developing these courses and receiving the affirmation from all of you that this was something that people and that the yoga world were interested in, as you know, we started developing more and more courses. And very quickly, this curriculum just started developing. And I realized very quickly that it didn't do any service to anybody to simply have me teach all of the courses, but let me draw on all of my incredible colleagues and friends and resources within this growing field of yoga studies, and let's invite the best scholars and researchers from around the world on all of these incredible subjects and invite them to teach courses and to share their knowledge with everyone. So yogic studies over the last 2 years has slowly grown thanks to the interest and support of this community and of our students. And we now have this fully fledged curriculum that is developed. And so out of that has now birthed what I'm calling the Yogic Studies Advanced Certificate Program. So today, what I'd like to do now, having said that, is do a brief presentation, an overview of the program, its curriculum and requirements, to tell you a little bit more about it, to talk about who our faculty are, to talk about why you might be interested in doing this. You can think about why you might not be interested in doing this. And hopefully, though, get you excited about the possibility of engaging in a more in-depth study of yoga, really from the comfort of your own home. And in fact, I mean, so many of you have already been doing this through our courses. And so this is really just a natural continuation of what you've already been doing. Okay, so without further ado, let me jump into this. And I'll try to keep this brief. Those of you who've taken courses with me know I'm really terrible at doing that because I get very excited about different topics and areas of interest, and I will go on tangents, but I will try to rein it in. And I would love to save a lot of time at the end here for Q&A, for some discussion, and just to hear from all of you and to get some feedback and see what you all think. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Here's actually the website, since I have this up. And you can look this up anytime. If you go to yogicstudies.com//YSACP. But let me jump into my slides here. Okay, so I'm gonna go here for about 15 to 20 minutes, I think, and then I'll open it up for questions, okay? So what we are talking about today is the Yogic Studies Advanced Certificate Program. I'm sort of calling this a 500-hour comprehensive online curriculum, but 500 hours is actually misleading. Honestly, it's going to be way more than 500 hours. In some ways, 500 hours, it's sort of just there for marketing purposes, if you will. But honestly, I think just engaging in the Sanskrit courses alone, you're going to probably put in more than 500 hours into your studies. But a comprehensive online curriculum for dedicated students of yoga history, Indian philosophy, and the Sanskrit language. So a brief overview here of what this program is all about, some of which I've already said. Drawing on the latest and most cutting-edge research in yoga studies, this program offers students an in-depth overview of the development of yoga in theory and in practice, from its earliest origins in South Asia to the contemporary world of global postural yoga. Through a robust curriculum of online courses, students engage in university-level coursework in the history of yoga, traditional Indian philosophy, textual study and analysis, as well as foundational training in the Sanskrit language. And I'll say more about each of those components as we go. So I really envision this as like an online grad school for yogis. Now, you don't have to be a yogi, you don't have to be a yoga practitioner or a teacher of yoga at all to participate in this. Not at all. You could just be interested in Indian philosophy or in Indian intellectual history, or you want to study Sanskrit, or whatever your reason is. But an online grad school of genuinely interested, and I have to say, for the most part, remarkable human beings from around the world, and the ability to engage in, as I say here, university level courses with faculty from the best universities around the world, but really from the comfort of your own home, and without both the financial and geographic and temporal burden of having to enroll in a traditional in-person university. This is an entirely self-paced online curriculum, so you can really begin anytime and progress through the courses one at a time, one module at a time, entirely at your own pace. At the moment, there is currently no time limit to complete the advanced certificate program. In part, this is because a lot of our courses and curriculum are still developing, so it certainly would not be fair to cap this at a certain time limit. I will say it is possible, once our curriculum is set, that we may initiate a time limit just to really keep students on track, but it would be a very flexible and generous time limit. I can talk about this more later, but at the moment, depending on your pace, this would probably take roughly 2 to 2.5 years, maybe longer, to complete. But for many of you, that timeline has already begun because you've already moved through many of these courses. So all of our online yogic studies courses count for credits towards the certificate. So for anybody here who's already taken YS 101 or 201 or any of our courses, great news, you already earned credits that can immediately apply towards this program. Except for the one exception here is a couple of our Sanskrit courses. And I'll say more about that, and that's because we've redeveloped and re-envisioned the online Sanskrit studies curriculum for this program, and I'm very excited to announce this new Sanskrit curriculum for all of us here today. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So who do you get to study with? Who are our teachers and our faculty? Here's just a screenshot of many of our current faculty who have already offered or are currently about to offer courses. We have a diverse range of faculty from a variety of different disciplinary and educational backgrounds, but all of whom really are very well established and recognized scholars in their fields of Indology, religious studies, yoga studies, Sanskrit studies, and so forth. So many of these faces should look very familiar to many of you who have taken courses with them already. I'm not going to go through each one of them. You can look at our faculty page and you can read more about their bios and see what courses they are teaching. But I do want to say that we really pride ourselves on finding faculty who are not only excellent scholars and researchers and well respected in their academic fields, but who are excellent teachers and educators and who can communicate effectively to non-specialist audiences. Because I think that's so important to what this is all about, is that we're trying to take this knowledge of these texts and traditions, of the great yoga traditions, and to try to make them accessible, engaging, applicable. And so I very carefully select who these faculty are for a variety of these reasons. And towards the end of this presentation, I'll share with you some of our new faculty, some of our exciting new online courses that are going to be coming up soon. Okay. Now, let me talk a little bit about the curriculum itself and the structure of this learning track, if you will. So there's 70 credits required in total, and they fall into a number of different categories. So at the very beginning, we have the core curriculum, which totals for 22 credits. These courses are all taught by myself. I'm making you take these courses with me, not because I'm teaching them per se, but because these topics, I feel like, are fundamental to anybody who's going to come out with an advanced degree or certificate in yoga studies. So this is the 101 course, which gives a broad overview of the history and development of yoga, really from the Vedas all the way to the contemporary period. The YS 105 gives a more focused historical course on the development and the genealogy of yogic postures, or asana in particular. And this course really drawing on the latest research from folks like James Mallinson and Jason Birch of the Hatha Yoga Project, as well as my own fieldwork and research on this subject, and gives a very in-depth overview of the history, the dating and genealogy of asanas. And then are these 200 level courses, which are really our textual study courses, looking at, in some ways, sort of the major canon, if you will, of the core sacred texts of the yoga traditions. And there will be more courses added to this, but this will be the core curriculum. So the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the Bhagavad Gita, in particular, looking at the yogas and the teachings on yoga throughout the Bhagavad Gita. All of those courses have already been offered and can be enrolled anytime, and students can now engage in those in self-study at your own pace. In this spring, beginning on May 18th, in fact, I'm going to be offering a text study course on the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, or the Hatha Pradipika, the lamp on Hatha Yoga by Svatmarama, this classical text for medieval Hatha Yoga. So these are really the core curriculum classes, both history, philosophy, textual study. And so all of those will be required for all students. The next category are our electives. And here, students will have the option and the freedom to choose 5 courses of their interests, 4 credits each, for a total of 20 credits. So here you can see our current offerings within this category, but as our curriculum continues to develop, as the terms and the seasons continue to pass, we'll be adding more and more courses to this list. And so you'll have a lot of freedom of customizing this learning track really based on your particular interests and subject areas. But I hope you can agree, just by looking at this list of courses here, there's a fantastic range of high quality and very specific subject matters that are going to be covered here, from the contemporary period, modern yoga in the West, to looking from a more anthropological, ethnographic angle of yoga and Hinduism, Hindu asceticism, looking at Indian sadhu and renunciate traditions historically as well as today, going back to the Vedas and looking at Om, the story of Om. I should say the modern yoga in the West was taught by Philip de Slip, Yoga and Hindu Asceticism by Daniela Babalakwa of the Hatha Yoga Project, The Story of Om by Finian Garrity of Harvard University, Shakta Tantra by Shravana, Yoga and Shaiva Tantra, recently taught by Ben Williams, and our newest course coming up, Roots of Hatha Yoga with James Mallinson of the Hatha Yoga Project. And more courses will be added. I'll be sharing a little bit about those here soon. Okay, so those are the electives. Now, I didn't mean to put this photo up. This was supposed to be a delay. Okay, well, here it is. This is our very exciting new online Sanskrit curriculum that I'm very happy to be announcing here to all of you. As a required part of the Advanced Certificate Program curriculum, students will be required to receive the equivalent of an entire academic year of training in classical Sanskrit. And I'm so thrilled and excited to announce to you all that we have recently worked out a partnership and agreement with Dr. Antonia Ruppel, previously of Cambridge University, currently a postdoc researcher at Oxford University, who is going to be our core Sanskrit faculty member. And she will be teaching our progressive curriculum of elementary Sanskrit. And we will be using her fantastic book, pictured here, The Cambridge Introduction to Sanskrit, which I have right here. And if anybody has already looked at this book or begun studying on your own, you'll know that this is just a fantastic primer and guide to the Sanskrit language. Dr. Rupel wrote this book in 2017. So it's a very new book, An Introduction to the Language. And in speaking with her this week, learning more about her and her teaching pedagogy, she told me that she wrote this book after years and years of teaching Sanskrit. And she was so frustrated and disappointed with the existing books, in English at least, the existing primers, because they all assume they're all written from sort of the perspective of an Indo-European background from the classics. They sort of assume that you've already studied Latin and Greek, and now you're coming to Sanskrit. And so they can be very challenging for students who are new to language study, especially to ancient and classical languages. And so I've been really impressed with this book, its precision and its clarity, and the incredible resources that Dr. Rupel has developed alongside this book. And I'm really, really pleased and honored that we get to host her, and she's going to be offering world-class Sanskrit education right here at Yogic Studies. So we're going to be offering 3 courses with Dr. Rupel: Elementary Sanskrit 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be a 3-course progressive series. And the first course, Elementary Sanskrit 1, is actually going to be launching on June 1st. So it will be our summer session. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the coming month as we start developing those materials and putting it out online. But we're going to be starting at the beginning, and we're going to progressively go through the entire book. And by the end of Sanskrit 3, if you stick it out and you complete her book, our goal for you with this program is to get you in a position where you will be able to read Sanskrit in Devanagari fluently, to a point where you could sit comfortably with a Sanskrit yoga text, say the Yoga Sutras or the Bhagavad Gita or the Hatha Pradipika, and you could sit with that text and a dictionary, and you could read that Sanskrit text in just about 1 year's time of study. So I'm really excited to be able to offer this. This is sort of a huge wing, if you will, of our curriculum and of Yogic Studies. And we plan to offer this, if it all goes well, on a regular basis. So this would be an annual offering. There will be limited enrollment, and the enrollment period will close on these courses, unlike our other courses where we leave enrollment open and students can sign up anytime. For this Sanskrit program, there will be limited space and individual cohorts that come together and hopefully move through this, this dynamic curriculum. So I'm happy to take more questions about that if you have them in the Q&A. But I'm very, very excited to be offering this. Now, one more thing here about Sanskrit language study. Many of you have already done the first 1 or 2 courses that you can see here with me, the Sanskrit for Yogis course, and those of you who are currently enrolled in the Devanagari seminar, which has been an absolute blast to teach and to get everyone fluent in reading and writing Devanagari. Those courses, unfortunately, just because of how we've had to structure this now, those do not count for credit towards the certificate program, and so they are listed here as optional. If somebody feels like they're not fully ready to dive into this, 3-course track, but they want to get started, they want to learn the script, or they want to improve their pronunciation, start learning the names of the asanas, these courses are fantastic and will be very helpful preparation for the more full commitment to elementary Sanskrit. But I'm sorry to say they will not give you any of the credits towards the 70 credit requirement here. Okay, but other than those two courses, any of our online courses, the credits will directly apply. Okay, and I can take questions about any of this later, but very, very excited to announce this new Sanskrit studies program with Dr. Antonia Ruppel. Now, another key dimension of this curriculum and 8 credits that apply to the 70 is one of our immersion retreats. Okay, so I really take pride in the fact that this is an online curriculum and the fact that it's very accessible and I hope priced at a very fair rate that allows more and more people to engage in this study and from anywhere in the world. But as great as online learning is, and as lovely as these Zoom classrooms are, where we get to see everybody in their little virtual avatar bubbles, it does not fully replace in real life, in-person human contact, relationships, and learning. And I feel very strongly about including this for those reasons as a part of this overall curriculum that I would like students to participate in one of our in-person immersion retreats. So you can see here this photo from the first ever such program, which we conducted in January of 2020 in Karnataka in South India. This was the Sacred Sites of Karnataka program. It was just last January, but it feels now like a lifetime ago. But this incredible 10-day pilgrimage and tour of South India through temples and caves and sacred sites, all with an eye to the history and philosophy of yoga. And we had an incredible group of yogic studies students, and it really affirmed for me how important it is to step out of Zoom, to step out of the virtual bubble, and to get to connect and build that community and relationships with people in person, and especially for the India program, to get to bring the history of yoga to life and to be able to share these sacred sites and centers with people from around the world. Now, it's not only going to be India, we will offer other programs. We will be offering a California immersion retreat, for example, likely sometime in 2021. Although everything is sort of on pause right now, given COVID-19 and this current pandemic. So we're just going to have to wait and see about dates and that sort of programming. But you know, knowing that not everybody will have the means or the time or be geographically facilitated to come to India, we're also going to hold something in California, and we'll likely develop other programs in other locations as well in the coming years. Now, I say that this is required, for all of those reasons, but there is an asterisk here, and I realize that this may not be 100% possible for everyone to participate, to have the financial means, or you may not physically be able to travel for a variety of reasons. And I don't want that to be the one hang-up that prevents you from being able to move through and graduate through this program. So while you're strongly encouraged to participate in one of these immersion retreats on a limited case-by-case basis, students may be able to substitute this for something else, be that additional elective courses and likely some sort of independent study project. Okay, and that will be something that will be worked out on an individual basis. But for most participants in this program, for most students, we would really like you to participate in one of these retreats, if possible. And anybody, there might be some people here who participated in this first pilgrimage to Karnataka, and I think they could attest to how powerful and transformative this sort of an experience can be. After studying these things in the books and online for some time, to then sort of step into the field, to go back in time and history and to visit these sacred sites and places is truly remarkable. And looking at photos and reading text in some ways doesn't replace the tangible, sensual, lived experience of engaging with these materials. Okay, finally, the last category here. After students have completed their initial 65 credits of coursework, they will be eligible to apply for what we're calling YS 301, the graduate seminar. This will provide the final 5 credits for you to earn the certification. Now, this is something that I am still developing the exact shape and nature of what this will look like, but it will be something like this. There will be a small cohort of students who have reached that point of 65 credits. And once we have a working group of students who are ready, we will then open this up. No more than once a year will this open. And we'll have a small cohort in the graduate seminar where we will meet regularly. The students will be meeting with me like this on Zoom. And it will really be an opportunity to solidify everything that you've studied and learned throughout all of your courses, study, and training up until this point. A way to personalize and better integrate all of this knowledge into your life, your practice, your teaching. There will be a final comprehensive exam. Don't get scared, but yes, some sort of exam is absolutely necessary. Now, the way I see this exam is it's not simply to test you and give you some letter grade or numeric value on how you've done, but rather to give you a structured opportunity to go back and review previous lectures, previous readings from all of the previous courses you've done, and to really solidify that knowledge. So it will be a comprehensive exam that will invite you to revisit basically all of the material through this program. And that will look something like, multiple choice questions, true or false questions, and some short writing questions. Okay? The other and most important, and I hope most interesting aspect of this graduate seminar is going to be for each student to develop their own unique research project based on some aspect of yoga in all of its richness and complexity, some subject or area, text, idea, figure, you name it, that you encountered in your studies and something that you want to explore in more depth. In our live Zoom sessions, I will help you refine and narrow that focus and help develop and find the necessary academic resources for you to engage in further research and to develop your own project. Now, the output of that project, I am open to what shape and form that looks like. For many of you, it might look like a formal academic research paper, and I can help you to develop that. For some of you, maybe you're a yoga teacher or a studio owner and you're developing or refining your yoga teacher training curriculum, and you want to revamp the entire history and philosophy section of your yoga teacher training curriculum. Or maybe you're writing a book, or maybe you're a filmmaker or a graphic designer and you want to develop some project or a short documentary film on some aspect of yoga philosophy or something. I don't know. You guys are an amazing group of people with all kinds of skills and talents. I will be there to help facilitate this for you. But regardless of what it is, I want it to be, it's going to be a very serious research project that is going to rely on peer-reviewed sources and materials. And you will create something of very high quality and depth that you will be able to show for. And through that, I hope that you will be able to very much personalize and to integrate this knowledge, this curriculum into your own life, into your own teaching and profession. Okay, so we'll get more clarity on exactly what this will look like, how often we'll meet and so forth when we get to this stage. But that is the graduate seminar. Okay. Now, that's it for now in terms of our curriculum. Let me just show you a few more things about our platform Yogic Studies and how you can access and move through these courses. And then I'll talk a little bit about tuition and pricing, and then we'll open it up for questions. So as many of you know already who have been taking courses with us, once you sign up for a course, it will show up in your Yogic Studies library. And you have all of your courses right here. And if they're courses that are previously recorded, you can just move through those entirely at your own pace, each module. If it's a current or upcoming live course, then you know each week we're releasing those modules and holding live Q&A sessions with those faculty. What you may or may not know, those of you who've been going through our courses, is we also have an app, a mobile app that you can use. So you can watch the courses directly on the website from your laptop or desktop, or you can also install the app. And the app is under Kajabi. If you look at Kajabi in your app store, whether it's Android or Mac, iOS, and you'll just enter your Yogic Studies email and login info, and boom, you'll have access to your entire course library right there on your mobile phone. And it works pretty well, I have to say. You can watch all of the videos. If you turn your screen, you can get it full screen. You can get access to any additional readings, PDFs, audio downloads, handouts, and so forth right there in the mobile app. It works okay on the iPad, but the app right now is really developed for the mobile phone. But a very nice feature to be able to stream these courses on the go, if you will. Okay, so you can view these courses on the website, on the app. Now, once you've signed up for the Yogic Studies Advanced Certificate Program, YSACP, or YSACP, if you will. Kind of a ridiculous acronym to say, but we'll call it the YSACP. I'm very excited to show this to you. We've just put the finishing touches on this, and we've launched the YSACP dashboard. So once you're enrolled in this program, you will now have a unique product in your course library where you can now track individually your progress in this program as you go. If you look at the very top, it tells you the percentage of completion, the number of credits that you currently have, and then on the left at the top there, how many credits are remaining until you receive the certificate. And as new courses arise, those will be added here. When you've completed a course, you'll get that little green check mark next to it, and the credits are added to your total in the dashboard. If you're working on a course still, you can just click that continue button, and it takes you right into the course, whatever module you left off on, and you can continue the course. So I'm really happy and excited about this, just a nice clean dashboard and way for you to track your progress as you go. The way this works is that at the end of each course, once you finish the final quiz and module for that course, the conclusion module will appear, and it will say, congratulations, you have earned such and such credits for the YSACP program, and you can click a button to submit those credits. And when you click that button, it'll then give you the green check mark here and add those credits to your dashboard. So pretty cool. We've just launched this dashboard. So for anybody who is already signed up, and many of you are, if you go into your account, you should be able to see this right now. And if you have any issues at all with this or anything else, you can email us at info@yogicstudies.com, and we can take a look at your account. If for some reason you're not seeing the credits appearing for a particular course or something, but we've tested it on a lot of browsers and platforms, and it should be good to go as of today. Okay, let's talk about tuition and funding. Saying, yeah, this sounds great, Seth, but how much does this cost? Can I afford this? Okay, so first of all, I mean, a few things here. One thing is just to consider what would you pay for this, you know, if you were at an academic institution, not to put any names out there or anything, but any university, you know, you would be paying significantly more for tuition for enrollment in those programs. And so we have tried to price all of our courses affordably, but also valuing the quality, the depth of the material, and being able to pay our instructors a fair and accurate wage. Now, to begin, and I've been getting this question, you know, how much does this cost? Well, it's a little bit difficult to answer in the sense that there is no single tuition cost. There's not one set fee. You don't just pay $4,000, $3,000, and you get access to everything. I don't want to do it like that, because I want people to be able to fund their study according to their own means, at their own rate, and as students are moving through this program at their own pace. Okay, so there's a few different ways that you can do this progressively. To begin, and anybody can sign up today, it's active, we're accepting enrollment right now. To begin, you simply click apply, register for the program, you fill out a small application, and there's a one-time fee of $25 just to begin, to get you in and to have the dashboard and set up, and so we know that you're enrolled in the program. After that, courses can be purchased in a few different ways. You can register for the curriculum. You can purchase courses individually, and the prices for those courses range from about $90 to $235. Know that for new courses coming up, we always offer early bird discounts. If you get in early, like the first few days or first week of an enrollment period, where you can get 20% off. But for any of our previous courses, it's about $90 to $235 a course. You can reduce that rate if you purchase courses in bundles. If you want to purchase 2, 3, or more courses at a time, you can get 20 to 25% off for a custom bundle. And you can email us if you don't see the bundle you want. Just let us know what courses you want to sign up for. So those those are ways that you can purchase and register for courses individually or as bundles. And when you do that, you have those courses in your yogic studies library with continued lifetime access. You, so to speak, own those courses, and you can continue to go back to them indefinitely. Another way, though, that you could fund your studies that could be more affordable is through our Yogic Studies membership program. This currently costs $75 a month, or if you pay for an entire year in advance, you can save some money, and it's $800 a year. This gives you access to the entire curriculum and course library, including previous courses, current live taught courses, and any future offerings. If you're in the membership program and you're subscribed, you have unlimited access to everything except for the new Sanskrit curriculum with Dr. Antonia Rupel. So elementary Sanskrit 1, 2, and 3 will not, I'm sorry to say, will not be included in this membership program structure. And that is simply because we need to cap enrollment. We need to create cohorts. It's not going to just be something that people can drop in and out on. We need students to be able to commit to Sanskrit study, and for our teacher to be able to pay her fairly, and we need to know how many students are in those courses. So that is something that will be funded outside of the membership program. Those courses are going to be purchased individually or together as a bundle. There'll be an offer when we launch that. If you want to purchase all 3 Sanskrit courses at once, there'll be a significant reduced rate for that. And there'll also be monthly payment options for the Sanskrit. We're still working out the pricing on the Sanskrit, so I haven't put those numbers here yet, okay? Okay, so a key difference, though, just to keep in mind between purchasing courses individually or bundles on one hand, and then through the membership program on the other hand. The membership program is sort of like a Netflix model. It's stream only. You have unlimited access to the entire curriculum so long as you are subscribed. But if you unsubscribe, which you can do anytime, you can cancel or pause. You're not locked into a year or anything like that. We do ask for a 2-month minimum commitment, but after that 2-month minimum, you can cancel anytime. The thing to keep in mind is you then no longer have access to those courses, right? If you're not subscribed and not paying, you don't have access to that curriculum. Whereas if you purchase the courses individually, you have lifetime access to those courses. Okay, so I hope that that makes sense. Now, the other big cost, the other sort of big ticket cost here, of course, for this program is going to be the immersion retreats to India, to California. And the pricing of those is really going to depend on the nature of that program, whether you're getting the early bird rate or not, accommodation options, and so forth. But with everything, we really try to give a fair market value and make those affordable and give, payment options to try to meet people where they're at for that. But just sort of keep in mind as you're kind of doing calculations and budgeting for something like that, that will be an additional cost. I can't give you exact prices right now. You can look and see what the prices were for our previous India trip to get some sense. But for the California program, it will look totally differently. Okay, so just to review here about tuition, to sign up, it's just $25 to get you enrolled. You can then fund the curriculum and individual courses in this variety of ways. You can simply purchase one-off courses, or you can enroll in our membership program. Okay, and happy to answer any questions at all about any of that. All right, just a couple more slides, and then I promise I am going to end this and open it up for discussion. Let me just share with you, sorry, this looks a little bit blurry on my screen, but some of our new upcoming courses that I'm really excited to be offering. The first, of course, many of you know about and are already enrolled in, is the Roots of Hatha Yoga with Dr. James Mallinson of SOAS, University of London, the key researcher for the Hatha Yoga project. And here's the ad for Dr. Mallinson's course. I'm so excited to be hosting Jim for this course. Jim is a huge academic mentor for me. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today without Jim and his pioneering research on Hatha Yoga. And for anybody who's not familiar with his work, Dr. Mallinson really is the world's leading scholar on the history of Hatha Yoga. And this course is starting this Monday, 4-week course. First lecture goes out Monday morning, and I'm really excited. I'll be doing this course along with you. I'll be there for all the live Zoom sessions. It's going to be really fantastic. It's a great privilege to get to study with Jim in this way. The next course, and which I will be offering myself, as I mentioned, is a text study course on the Hatha Yoga Pradipika from May 18th through June 19th. This will be a 6-week course where we will dive deep into this classical Sanskrit text on Hatha Yoga. We'll read all 4 chapters, verse by verse, word by word. We'll go through the entire text together. I'm really excited to offer this. And then 2 more courses, which we have coming up in the summer. The first is entitled Classical Yoga and Buddhism. This is being offered by Dr. Karen O'Brien-Kopp, who just recently, last year, defended her PhD at SOAS. She was a student of James Mallinson and others. And Karen is an incredible scholar of yoga philosophy, really Indian philosophy more broadly, but what she specializes in is the parallels between the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, classical yoga philosophy, and its early Indian Buddhist parallels. So this course is going to be a comparative philosophy course, looking at the shared nature of yoga and meditation between early yoga and early Buddhism. And for anyone who's studied the Yoga Sutras in any depth, you'll know how strong those parallels are. And so Karen's going to really help walk us through that and spell that out, looking at both Buddhist and Hindu Sanskrit texts. So that's sort of an early Indian Buddhism course and Indian philosophy. And after that, we'll then see how Buddhism and yoga moved across the Himalayas into Tibet. And we'll be looking at Tibetan Tantric yoga with an incredible scholar and author named Ian Baker. For anybody who's not familiar with Ian Baker, look him up. He is the author of this wonderful book called Tibetan Yoga, Principles and Practices, which is very, very beautifully illustrated. He's actually the author of a number of books, including one called the Dalai Lama's, I think it's Dalai Lama's Secret Temple, which is an analysis of these incredible wall mural paintings from inside the Dalai Lama's secret hidden temple in Tibet. And I mean, Ian has an incredible story and background as a practitioner and scholar of Tibetan Buddhism, who I think almost all of his books are personally blessed and endorsed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He's spent many, many years adventuring through the Himalayas and studying with traditional yogis and teachers in the caves of Tibet. And this is going to be a very, very special course and offering. I'm very pleased to be able to host Ian Baker. Check out his book, Journey into the Heart of the World, if you haven't seen that already. Amazing, amazing book. It really his memoir, tracing his travels in Tibet and India and forays into Tibetan Buddhist traditions. Okay, I think, so that's some of our upcoming courses to hopefully get you excited a little bit. One more course actually that I have not even listed here yet. We've just secured. I believe it will be the next course after Ian Baker's, which will be in October. This is going to be a course on women and gender in yoga. The history of women and gender in yoga, which will be taught by Ruth Westoby from SOAS University. Ruth is a student of James Mallinson and a very, very dedicated and respected Ashtanga yoga teacher. But she's working on her PhD. She's a PhD candidate at SOAS, writing a dissertation on this very subject of women and gender in yoga. So that will be coming in October. So I'm very excited for that as well. Okay, so I think that is it for now. Please know you can register for this today. It's open. You can just go to yogicstudies.com/YSACP, fill out the short application. There's a $25 one-time fee to get you going. And for those of you who have stuck around to the end here, I guess whether you're watching this live or the recording later, I am happy to offer you guys, hopefully this isn't getting cut off here by my video, a one-time coupon, 30% off any of our courses that have already previously aired. So this will not apply for Jim's Roots of Hatha Yoga course or the upcoming courses. I'm sorry. What just happened here? Somebody annotating this page? It's weird. But you can use this code at the checkout, at the registration, YSACP30 for any of our other courses, any of the self-study courses. It's just a one-time code, and I'm happy to be able to offer that to you, whether it's your first time with us or you're an alum and continuing student. Okay, so that is it. Why is there this line across there? It's very strange. Have we been Zoom hacked, you guys? Did somebody Zoom bomb us here and they wrote a squiggle line and they've corrupted my beautiful slides here? I wonder. Okay. Maybe I should have password protected this Zoom call. All right, so if you have any questions after this, please email us at info@yogicstudies.com. And I'm now going to exit out of this screen share and open it up. Let's see, how can I do that? There we go. For discussion. Let me just see, everybody's still here? I didn't put you all to sleep. Wow, we have 72 people here live. That is amazing. And I'm just seeing right now, there are a lot of comments that came in the chat. So let me just take a look there. I'm going to take a sip of coffee and take a look here, and then we can kind of open it up. Okay, yes. Great comments about the retreats in India, California retreat. Yes, we have some participants here who were on that program. Jen, I think, is here. Danielle, they can attest to the South India trip. Let me just open it up for anybody who's here rather than scrolling. Anybody, I can change this so you can unmute yourself. And you can also, oh, I see some people already have raised their digital hand. Audrey, thank you. Why don't we do that? I think that's a good way to go, so we don't all talk over each other. And I will unmute you. Hi, Audrey. Whoops, I can't hear you.
I just took my earbuds out, so can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah,
okay.
Great. How you doing? Where are you, Audrey?
I'm in Canadice, New York, which is
Canadice.
in the western New York.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yes, you too. I have taken a number of courses with you, and live mostly, like getting the weekly videos. So if we're doing this course or doing the at our own pace, how will we ask questions?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, so thanks for asking that. I'm just going to mute you for now. There definitely is a difference, as you all note, between doing the courses live versus doing the recorded versions of them. You're going to get a lot more out of them if you are able to do them live, because you have this added benefit of the group energy, being able to interact in person with your instructor, the online community forums that we set up during a live course to be able to really engage those types of questions, Audrey. You are still welcome to send us in questions, send me questions in particular when you're doing a recorded version. My ability to answer all of those questions thoroughly and promptly is lessened when it's what we might call the asynchronous model of the course, when it's not live. But I'm happy to invite you to be sending questions into me. We'll just try to keep them a little bit more refined. But it is true, you will have the ability to ask more questions, and I think to be able to get more out of the courses if and when you can do them live. Now, related to that, it is also very likely from time to time, I personally will rerun a live version of, like, say, the Yoga Sutras course, the 201 course, or the Bhagavad Gita, or even the 101 course. I might do another live version of that at some point. And so I think what I will do in those scenarios is anybody who's enrolled in those courses, if I do another live version of that same course, anybody who's previously registered for that course will be invited to attend the live Zoom sessions and be a part of that community. So I think I'd like to do it like that. So just to clarify, you'll be able to send in questions, but just logistically, we will not be able to answer them in the same volume than if you were taking it live. Okay, I think we've got Vishwanath. I'm going to go to Vishwanath. Namaskara, Vishwanath.
Namaskara. How are you?
Good. You're in South America somewhere, right?
Chile. Yeah.
Chile. Hola.
Very far.
Well,
so my question is, yeah, good to see you too as well. My question is regarding the membership. I didn't hear the part you were speaking about that, because I won the how do we call
the giveaway,
the game of Instagram. Yeah. I was so happy. So I'm taking the membership now, and I'm planning to continue it for a while at least. But I'm trying to understand what happens if I cannot keep it in the future, for example. So how will the courses that I took give me credits for this this program?
Good. Okay, thank you for asking that. Yeah. So with the membership, again, if you cancel or pause your subscription, which you're totally entitled to do anytime, you will no longer have access to those courses in your library. But anytime you've completed a course, Vishwanath, at the end of that course, you get to you can click the submit for credits, and those credits will go to your dashboard. And so even when you pause or cancel your membership, if our coding has worked properly, those credits should remain in your dashboard. If for some reason they don't, email us, we'll figure it out. You definitely get to keep the credits. But the dashboard should be able to handle that, and it should still show that. So for a lot of people, I think that might be a good strategy. You know, you can do the membership and you can move through and you can apply those credits as you go. If you need to take a pause or a break, you can do that. You can then come back to it. And you might even pause for a while. And then when you're ready to do the graduate seminar, you might reactivate it so that you then have access to everything again to be able to go back and study for the exam, so to say. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, thanks for that question. I think Lori, I saw next. Lori, can I unmute you? Hi.
Hi.
How's it going? Where are you tuning in from, Lori?
I am in Missoula, Montana.
All right.
So we actually have some sun today. I'm pretty grateful for that.
And can you go outside a bit and enjoy it?
Yeah, I will get outside this afternoon. It's going to snow this weekend, though, so you can enjoy it today.
Wow.
Pretty simple question. I just want to make sure that for the Sanskrit seminars, the 3 courses, those will be recorded. So if we can't attend live, we can
Yes.
still attend.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that question. The Sanskrit seminars with Dr. Rupel, they will be conducted live. Okay, but they, as usual, they will definitely be recorded. You will be really strongly encouraged to participate live, but we know there's just no one time slot that works for all time zones. We want to be this global platform, and we can't exactly hit that perfect live slot for everybody. So of course the recordings will be there, and you can definitely go through the course just doing the recordings. But more so than our other sort of lecture-based courses for the Sanskrit, just like those of you in the Devanagari seminar right now, it's more hands-on. There's going to be a lot of assignments and exercises and quizzes, and you know, you're going to really go through this entire book, and there'll be kind of goals and checkpoints. And even if you're doing it watching the recordings, you'll want to try to keep to the schedule. But you can definitely do it by watching the recordings, and we'll have those community pages set up, so you'll still be able to get questions in to Dr. Rupel through that. And she will be taking questions in from people from that community forum. So you can kind of get a question in that way, and then she'll address it, and you can watch and see her answer in the recording. And so I'm really excited about that program. We've got a lot of ideas about how to make that really dynamic and engaging. Let me say a little bit more about that actually on that note. Those courses are going to meet twice a week. The first course, Elementary Sanskrit 1, starting on June 1st. It's going to be on Mondays and Wednesdays. I have the times here actually, if you want to know. 5 p.m. Mondays GMT. Now I have to figure out what that is now. Other times, I think there was a daylight savings change that just happened. But 5 p.m. Wednesdays, or 5 p.m. Mondays GMT, London time, and Wednesdays will be 7 p.m. GMT, starting on June 1st. This is a scenario where we will have two slightly different time slots, and maybe that will accommodate some people better on one day versus the other. But that is what fit with Antonia's teaching schedule. So that'll be for the first course, June 1st, Mondays and Wednesdays, 5 and 7. And those will be 90-minute sessions. And the way that'll work is basically at the beginning of each week, you will have all of your assignments. You'll have the chapters in the book that you're going to be going through. There are accompanying videos that go with the book, and you're going to kind of go through those exercises and materials, and then you'll meet twice a week, and Professor Rupel will review those concepts, take questions, go through all kinds of examples, and engage, and it'll be very interactive. So you'll be utilizing a lot of different kind of learning modes: visual, auditory, written, so forth like that. Okay. Any other questions? How's everybody doing? I'm just looking around the virtual room here. Thanks for being here, everyone. Just want to say hi to just some familiar faces here. Nikki, how's it going? Octopus Garden. And Luana, Michelle, Susan, Sarah, Audrey, Adam, Matthew, Richard, Russell, Scott, Apple. I know your name's not Apple. I'm just forgetting your name in this moment. Oh my gosh, we met in London. Sasha, thank you. Thank you, Sasha. Tom, Just Plain Yoga. Hi, Helen. Jean-Luc, Frederica, friends in the Devanagari seminar. Okay, I can't hit everybody here. Any other questions? Or yeah, Tom, let me unmute you.
So I actually have two questions. The first one is, if you are attending so for myself, I'm supposed to be attending Naropa University next year, and I'm going to major in yogic studies. Would these credits go towards that in my academic career in the future? Like when I go to a physical university?
I'm just going to mute you for now. Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations on getting into Naropa and starting that program. Let me ask you: you're in the master's program there?
I just graduated high school, and then I'm going next year I'm majoring. Yeah, that's what I plan on doing.
So starting with the undergraduate program, but majoring in religious studies with the concentration in yoga.
Or they actually have a yogic studies major now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, very cool. Well, congratulations on graduating high school and beginning that. Naropa is an incredible university, and one of my really good friends and colleagues, Ben Williams, I'm sure you know, he's now the chair of the yoga studies program that they're developing at Naropa. We just had him at Yogic Studies to teach the Shaiva Yoga and Shaiva Tantra course. Now, your question about credits is a very interesting one, and kind of gives me opportunity to talk a little bit more broadly about thinking about this vis-a-vis other more traditional degree and accredited programs. So let me just clarify, for better and for worse, as of right now, this certificate program is not accredited with any university. I just want to be really clear about that. It is something I am looking into. I think we have a very strong case to make for accreditation because the quality and depth of our courses, which are taught by highly trained academic professors and scholars. Parallels, I might even argue, surpasses the quality of education you might be able to get at many other accredited universities. However, if we did move through and try to go through an accreditation process, I would no doubt have to significantly raise the tuition costs to be able to afford and match those requirements. I would also likely have a lot more oversight. I mean, for sure, I would have a lot more oversight in terms of what we're doing and how I am, let's say, quantifying, measuring, testing students. Probably have to assign much more written essays and assignments. A whole host of new challenges and oversight would arise if we did move through that process. So first, let me say it is not something currently we offer. It is something I am looking into. At the moment, I think there's actually some benefits to us not being accredited because we can keep the prices, the tuition down significantly with no oversight. So I like that global and accessible model that we have right now. Some people have asked me, is this certified through Yoga Alliance? Right? Now, I can see why somebody might be interested in asking that question, but my answer to that is that this program far exceeds what Yoga Alliance is even able to recognize in terms of yoga philosophy, in terms of Sanskrit studies. So just to take like a 200-hour, YTT as a model, based on their new standards, they currently require 30 hours of what is now called yoga humanities. So 30 hours, okay? We're offering over 500 hours. So they can't even recognize it within the current structures. I forget what the numbers are for a 500-hour program. Nikki or others who run those trainings, you might be able to educate us on that. But still, it doesn't come near, what we're currently offering. That said, any of our courses, if you are a registered yoga teacher with Yoga Alliance and you're trying to earn those continuing education credits, all of our courses apply towards that. But you're going to max out very quickly because their requirements are so minimal. You take a couple courses with us and boom, you've hit the Yoga Alliance requirement. For a 200-hour Yoga Alliance training, Tom, I'm going to circle back to you. I haven't forgot. I'm just going here. For a 200-hour training, 30 hours are required. They have recently announced that 20 of those hours can be online, non-contact hours. So for sure, 20 hours of our 500 could apply towards, some 200-hour YTT program. But that's not what we're doing. This is not a yoga teacher training program in that way. Really what I see this as is comparable to a master's program in yoga studies, but more streamlined, more accessible, flexible, the ability to customize your learning path, to do it at your own pace, and hopefully much more affordably. Of course, you do not get that same shiny accredited certificate as you would if, say, you went through SOAS or Naropa or LMU, but you will hopefully be in much less student loan debt. On the other side of this, I am speaking from somebody who has been racking up student loan debt for the better part of this decade. And I am very, very cautious about recommending people right now to take out any student loans if you don't have to. So as much as you can, please don't fund your yogic studies education with student loans. contact me. We can work something out. Okay. Okay. So back to Tom's question. So we're not accredited. We're not affiliated with Yoga Alliance per se, although up to a certain amount our courses can apply. That said, because of the quality and rigor of our courses that are university level education, I do think that you can make a case to your existing universities to try to get credit for individual courses as right now, just as is. So we have had students in the past who have been able to get college credit for these courses. There was a student at a university in Utah in the United States, for example. It was a very limited religious studies program, so they didn't have any course offerings on yoga, very limited offerings on Hinduism. And so he was quite easily able to kind of make that pitch to his department to receive elective credit courses for that. And we supply certificates for the completion of any individual courses, which you can use to justify to your department or to Yoga Alliance if you're trying to get the credits there. Now, in your particular case, Tom, at Naropa, and since Ben is a friend of mine, we would have to discuss this probably with Ben. I think if you took Ben's course, if you took Ben Williams' course on Shiva Tantra, you know, I think you'd have a pretty good chance of being able to get some credit for that. But a key difference, though, is that, you know, a typical course at a university on a quarter or a semester system, it's going to be a much longer course, you know, 12 to 15 weeks, rather than typically what our courses are more like 4-week streamlined courses. An academic course is probably going to have a research paper or exams tied to that. So one thing you could do is you could kind of pitch to your program or your advisor and say, hey, if I do this course and then I also write a research paper, I think that would make a stronger case to get credit for it. But I'm also happy personally to help you navigate that process. All right, so that was a very long-winded answer, Tom, but hopefully there was information there that is useful for others more broadly about university accreditation, credits, and that sort of thing. Let me just conclude that by saying, you know, I've called this, for better or worse, the advanced certificate program. I'm really not even terribly happy with that name. What does advanced mean? What does the certificate mean? Really, you know, I don't think anybody should do this because you're trying to get an advanced certificate. I think that you should do this, one, if you love and are passionate about learning about the history and philosophy of yoga, if you want to learn Sanskrit, if you want to be able to read yoga texts in their original language, if you want to educate yourself and deepen your yoga journey, you know, kind of off the mat in this way, then this is for you. It's really honestly about that learning path and process. And the certificate program is just a way of structuring that marga, that learning path, in a way that kind of holds you accountable. And then through an immersion retreat gets to, you know, immerse with community, with friends, with like-minded cohort of students, sadhakas. And through the graduate seminar allows you to kind of bring all of that together in some really dynamic and creative research project, something that you want to develop and take away from this. And so for all of those reasons, you know, somebody should do this, but not just to get a certificate, you know, because what does the certificate mean? Nothing, really. It's about everything that's within it, you know, and how much you put into it along the way. All right. I hope that this has been helpful and informative and maybe even a little inspiring for some of you who are maybe stuck at home right now, maybe Maybe you have more time on your hands. Maybe you have less time on your hands. I think everybody's COVID quarantines look very, very different right now, and we can't generalize about what this experience looks like. I know for people who have families with children, young children, there's quarantining with kids, there's quarantining without kids. I think that looks very different. But yogis have been practicing social distancing for thousands of years. Self-inflicted social distancing. And so while I'm not recommending that we all become sannyasins and renunciates, in some ways, this current situation has forced us into that to some degree. Of course, that looks very different if you're a householder renunciate. But I think there is a lot that we can take away from this time and situation. And if nothing else, it might be a good time for you to further your study and to maybe take a course, maybe learn some Sanskrit, as many of you have been doing. I'm so happy and fortunate to be able to help support and facilitate that for so many of you. So thank you all for being a part of that and helping to enliven this online community. And just looking, Audrey, did you have another question? Yeah, let me unmute you, and then maybe Jean-Luc.
So I signed up when I did the Devanagari course, the seminar I'm doing with you now. I also did the package with the Sanskrit 101. Mm-hmm. And I'm very interested in doing this thing with Dr. Rupel.
Yeah.
So what, should I go ahead and do the current 101 thing, or is it just going to overlap?
It's up to you. We could discuss that privately if you want to think about that. I would say the program with Dr. Rupel is not going to begin until June 1st. And so if you want to kind of keep that momentum right now from the Devanagari seminar and keep at it, which I highly recommend, just because it's very easy to lose your Sanskrit if we're not staying sharp with it every day, if we're not exercising those language muscles. I think the 101 course, or what was formerly Sanskrit 101, because I'm now going to call Professor Rupel's courses 101, 102, and 103. So there's been a change in the course numbers, but let's say the Sanskrit for Yogis course, which I developed, I still really stand by that course and highly recommend it to anybody who's interested, especially just if you're interested in learning Sanskrit from a yoga perspective, because all of the examples we're using are all from yoga texts. The vocab quizzes are developing your Sanskrit yogic terminology. And it's really meant as a more easeful kind of entryway into Sanskrit grammar and case endings and syntax and all the heady stuff that you will have to come to grips with. I think it's a more gentle entryway into that. So I also give a really nice, I think, overview of the history of the Sanskrit language at the beginning of that course. We do a lot of work with Sanskrit compounds through asana names and breaking down the names of the asanas in a lot of detail. We look at the mythology of the names of the asanas. And then the final module is, shlokas, mantras, sutras from the great yogic texts and really breaking those down based on everything you learned. So I think if you did that course, it would only help you. It would only prepare you better for first year Sanskrit with Professor Rupel. It would give you a little edge. And to have a little edge at the beginning of Sanskrit, to feel like, hey, I know that, to feel like that makes sense. It can be really helpful because honestly, first year Sanskrit, it's challenging. It was for sure for me from not having studied languages very much prior to engaging in formal Sanskrit study. First year Sanskrit was really, really tough. So this is not to scare anybody away, but I think the Devanagari seminar and Sanskrit for yogis will be great aids. They're not required prerequisites, but they would be very helpful to prepare you for that. Okay, thank you. I know so many people need to leave now, and thank you. Oh, we have Jean-Luc though. Let me unmute Jean, but anybody who's leaving, no worries. Thank you for being here. We'll see you later, I hope. And Jean-Luc, there we go.
Yes, you said.
Where are you right now?
I am from Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay, greetings.
And I'm taking the Devanagari seminar.
Yes, I know.
I would like to know, you told us that there will be a limited number of participants in the Sanskrit courses, or there will be enough room for us? How will that will be?
Yes, thank you. It depends on the numbers. We don't want, I don't think this will happen because there's not 200 people crazy enough to do this, but we don't want 200 people at once because it will just be too much. In terms of grading, feedback from the professor, interaction in Zoom. So depending on the numbers, we might have to cap it. I don't know exactly what that will look like. My sense is we probably won't have to, but if by some reason everyone's still stuck at home in June and the entire world is like, now we want to learn Sanskrit and then maybe we will have to cap it. But we will have a closed enrollment date, a deadline. So unlike our other courses where we really do leave enrollment open, you can sort of join anytime. With this course, you will have to get in by the closing of the enrollment period. Okay. And in that way, it will naturally cap the numbers. You know, if we're saying this is the enrollment period and it's closing. So it'll be like that. And unless it gets crazy, then anybody here should be able to get into that course, no problem. Richard says, never say never on 200 people. To find Sanskrit courses ain't easy. It's true. I have continued to underestimate the interest in these courses, and who knows? That would be incredible. And maybe we would have to create 2 different courses or something. I don't know exactly. We'll come to that if that arises. But anybody who wants to do it, let me say that, we will make room for you. It will not be a problem. Okay, Maria, I'll keep going here for a few more minutes. At some point, I will need to go get some lunch and say goodbye. But I'm happy to hang around for a little bit because it's just so nice to be here with you all and to hang out a little bit. So it's nice for me to hear from you. So I'm going to take this from Maria. And go ahead.
Hi there. I came into the meeting late and I apologize, but I'm interested, and I don't know if you went over the time period in which it begins and ends, as well as the cost, and what days you're meeting and for how long, or if that's in the email.
Okay, well, sounds like you missed just about everything that I said. Not to poke fun, but this will be recorded. So do go back. I'll send out a link with the recording when it's ready. But sounds like you missed just about all of the information that I gave. But very, very briefly, there's no timeline. You can sign up right now. It's ready to go. You can start anytime. Many of you have already started just informally because you've already been taking the courses. And so those courses will count. But as soon as you sign up, then you can start adding the credits from those courses into your account. The tuition It's a little bit complex just because there's different ways you can fund this. But there's not a single tuition cost. It's really a sort of pay as you go thing, as you just build out your course library, adding courses individually, or whether you're signing up for the subscription program. Okay, and you can do that, you know, as you like on your own. And again, many, I think yourself included, Maria, you've already been taking courses, so you've already kind of been enrolling in that way. I forget what your other question was.
Dr. Appel, when does that start? In June? I'm just confused. You could start at any time, but they're already pre-recorded, or it's going to be that teacher, or?
Yes. Okay. So let me just mute this. This is an ongoing thing, an ongoing program that you can really enter into at any time. As you know, most of those courses have already aired, so to speak, and the recordings are available, so you can move through those on your own through self-study. Any of our current or future offerings, you can enroll in those, and I highly encourage you to take advantage of that and go through the live versions of those courses so you can interact with the faculty. But once those finish, recordings are available and there's a backlog, and you can move through those courses at any time. So there's certain courses that are happening live, which you can sort of tap into, or you can sign up and take them, you know, at your own pace. There are certain key components, though, of this program that are only going to be offered at certain times throughout the calendar year. And those would include the immersion retreats, say in India or California, or maybe somewhere else if we develop another one. And then the graduate seminar, the final graduate seminar for those who already have 65 of the 70 credits. And that will open up once we have a large enough cohort of at least, let's say, 4 or 5 people to be able to then offer that. And then moving forward, then that I see that being offered as well, say once a year. And then the other things that are time sensitive, Maria, is that the Sanskrit curriculum, elementary Sanskrit 1, 2, and 3, which will be a required component of this program, those are going to be time sensitive courses. And that the first launch of that is going to start June 1st. So that June 1st date, that was regarding the Sanskrit curriculum. So if you're wanting to do this and really go through with this, I do highly encourage you to get in on that first round of Sanskrit, because in order to get into the Sanskrit 102 and 103 class, you will have to have done the previous prerequisite courses. And it'll probably just be once a year that we'll be able to open up that Sanskrit 101 course and start a new cohort like that. But we'll aim to do that every year. You know, ideally, like every June, every summer, we'd be able to take in a new cohort of Sanskrit students. So I hope that makes more sense. But if you go back, listen to the recording, I lay all that out in a lot more detail. Okay, everyone, I think I am going to have to leave it at that for now and bid you farewell. But actually, wait, I see there was one more question here, I think, from Mary Ann.
Oh, hi.
Are you here, Mary Ann?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, hi. No, I think probably like maybe next time, because it's like really specific about the research and we're not there yet. So, yeah.
Go for it. Put your question out there. Let's do it.
Like I was wondering whether it's, well, because you know how your platform is academic, and I'm wondering like if for the research project it will be along those lines, or can it be also emic and contemporary?
Yeah, thank you. So Marianne is asking about the final research project for the graduate seminar, really the kind of the capstone project, if you will, the culmination of this entire program. And we're not there yet, as you said, Marianne, so we'll see how this develops. But I do want there to be quite a bit of flexibility in terms of what types of projects students are able to create. I do not, as I'm conceiving of it right now, I do not think that this has to look like a formal academic research paper for everyone, although that might be the shape that this looks like for many. It could look like something much more personal, something much more out of the box and creative. I don't want to set the limits on what that project looks like right now. But regardless of what kind of medium you're using, whether it's written, whether it's visual, oral, etc., I want it to be grounded in, as you say, academic research. I want it somehow to be grounded in the texts, the materials, the studies, the research that you've been engaging throughout this entire program. I want those materials to inform this project. Now, as a teacher or a practitioner, this might be a very personal project. It can be, absolutely, it can be contemporary, Marianne. It doesn't have to be some study of the Indus Valley seals or cracking the so-called Indus script. Although if you can do that, you can win that $10,000 prize I mentioned. It does not have to be a textual analysis of a Hatha Yoga text or anything like that. But I do want somehow those materials to inform the output of this project. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And so in terms of just what the shape and form of that looks like, I'm pretty open. And we'll kind of work those projects out individually and collectively as a cohort group in that graduate seminar. But I want it to be personally meaningful and valuable for you, not just some external project that you're being asked to do from some external authority, but something that genuinely excites, inspires, motivates you, but that draws on the depth of learning that you have engaged in through this process. So I think that's a nice way to end. And once again, I just thank everyone here for tuning in, for sharing your video feeds, your audio, your questions, your participation. Please feel free to continue the conversation. You can send me an email at info@yogicstudies.com if you have any questions at all. And for those of you who have already been taking so many of our courses, I would say go sign up, go register. You can start adding all those credits into your account right now. And you've already begun this yogic educational journey. So, all right, everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, take care, and study on. And look forward to hopefully seeing you all very soon. Okay? So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.